Hey, David Brewster here with a new episode of Scales and Tales, and this is Roll the Bones, and this is a pentatonic position finger rolling workout that I've had for a very long time. I've shared with students for years and years. Actually, 10 years ago, I had a lesson with Premier Guitar Magazine called Roll the Bones, and that covered, this topic. Even though this lesson is completely different than what I had with Premier Guitar, it's the same concept. And it's basically involving rolling that first knuckle or joint in your fret hand fingers between two adjacent notes on two different strings, on the same fret. And this is kind of a lost art because a lot of people don't think about this to practice, but this is a good low impact warm up. It's also going to boost your knowledge of the pentatonic positions on the fretboard because we're going to run this exercise through all 5 positions. So if you want to boost your pentatonic awareness, also kind of tackle this finger rolling technique, this lesson's totally for you. So I'm really disappointed in myself that I don't own a copy of Rush Roll the Bones, the album, because I put Alice in Chains Dirt up there because of the song Them Bones, because we're going to be rolling them fretboard bones. But I was so disappointed, like, oh man, I don't have Roll the Bones. That would have been great. But anyway, this lesson's going to be in F sharp minor, so we're going to run through this in F sharp minor pentatonic. You could technically move it down a half step and also do it in F. And the reason I'm putting it in F sharp, or the optional F placement, is that way you can start with the box right here in F sharp minor pentatonic, move your way up, all 5 positions, and then reach the octave way up there on the 14th fret. And if we started, say, in G, for instance, there is a pentatonic position behind the box that you could grab, or A or B, you know what I'm saying? Like if you started higher on the fretboard, you would have, pentatonic positions that you're kind of skipping or missing lower. So I kind of like the idea of putting it in F sharp or F, but put it in F sharp and you can run all the way through it, all the way up the neck, and you're going to end up like way up here. So that's just kind of my own personal, way of doing this. But to get started here, just think of the F sharp minor pentatonic box right here. And what we're going to do is roll on adjacent strings. And any time that you have, 2 notes on the same fret on adjacent strings, you're going to roll into those 2 notes. Something like this, real slow. Right, real basic stuff there. You're just rolling. And anytime, like I said, you have adjacent notes on the same fret, you want to roll it. And then anytime you don't have adjacent notes, you have to fret it, individually, just like this. Right, now descend and do it in reverse. Like that, and you can go real slow. And what I typically do is I do each position twice. So let me demonstrate that. So here's number 1. And then do it again, and tighten it up the second time. See, I just screwed up in there somewhere, so I'm going to do that one again. Something like that. And I have to be honest here, I'm actually warming up, demonstrating this on camera. So I haven't warmed up today at all. And I'm just kind of jumping in here playing this, kind of showing you how you can use it as a warm-up. So there's the first part of the first position. So the next example is the next position of F sharp minor pentatonic. It starts right there on that A note, and then we're going to do the exact same thing, but using a different pentatonic fingering, like this. And one little rule here that I use, I always end on the root note. That way I can kind of associate like what key I'm in, and I can kind of declare like that's the end of that cycle or that, repeat or whatever. And, always find F sharp, since we're in F sharp here. And for that one, you can see there's some kind of fretboard hurdles or fingering hurdles. We've got this. And then we're going to basically condense that like that. And then right here, this is really funky. And that's the way I want you to finger that, like that. So there you're using all 4 of your fret hand fingers like that, and that. And then you're back to that shape, right? And then you can just kind of walk through it. And then descend. Now once that under your belt, just run through it tightly twice, like this. There's that root note, and then do it again. And you can probably also tell I'm doing this slight palm mute thing. You don't have to do that. I think it just makes it a little bit cleaner, and you can actually hear, you know, if you're playing the notes, you know, solidly or not. And if you don't mute it, you know, it has a little different sound. I like that muted kind of sound, I guess. You know, like that. But that's the second position of F sharp minor pentatonic. Next up is the next position of F sharp minor pentatonic, and it's going to start on this B note right there, and it's like this. And then descending. And this one also has some kind of fretboard hurdles there. So you're starting here, and then right there you're going to shift to that shape. And then we had this earlier, but it's right there. And then right there. And then there's a final F sharp you can hit right there. As far as the you know, ascending approach. And then descend, the same thing. You can end on that F sharp. So once you have that under your fingers, just run through it like we've been doing twice and try to play it, you know, nice and clean and tight. I guess by tight I mean connected, you know, like smoothly and flowing through it. Do it one more time. And there's the third shape of F sharp minor pentatonic with this finger rolling, roll the bones kind of idea. Next up's the next shape of F sharp minor pentatonic. We're going to start on that C sharp right there, and it looks like this. And then right there on the way back. So right there, we've got a few kind of fretboard, you know, hurdles here. And you're kind of grabbing that, and then this. Then we've got this and that, so it's kind of a mutation of what we had earlier. And then that. And then descend. So the rule here is just try to use all of your fret hand fingers. You know, try to avoid using the same finger, you know, multiple fingers, and just kind of grab the notes in a common sense kind of way like that. So here's run through number one, tight. And descend. And do it again. Now the next shape, the fifth shape of F sharp minor pentatonic, we're going to start on this E, and it looks like this. Right. And that one's interesting because we've got this shape and that shape, so you're kind of just moving between, you know, that whole step and that step and a half, like that. And your last note happens to be F sharp, and then just descend. Now run through it twice once you have it under your fingers. And then do it again. I kind of flubbed that last part, but whatever. Okay, last but not least, we're going to basically do what we did in the beginning, but an octave higher, starting on the 14th fret. So it's F sharp minor pentatonic box, starting right here. And right there, it's pretty, you know, it's interesting because down here it's stretchier. Even though it's the exact same fingering, but an octave higher and the frets are closer together, it's going to feel noticeably different right there. you have that under your fingers, just run through it twice like we've been doing, like this. And then do it again. And that is the Roll the Bones pentatonic workout. Alright, that's going to wrap this quick episode of Scales and Tails with Roll the Bones. And as you can see, this is a pretty basic workout. It's not really that hard to play. I would just kind of casually run through this. I wouldn't worry about shredding it or playing it like at hyperactive speeds. Just connect with your guitar, connect with the strings, play it clean, and like I kept mentioning, play it tight. And if you make a mistake somewhere, repeat, whatever position you're in and do it again until you kind of smooth it out. And, like I mentioned earlier, I haven't warmed up today. Like, this is the first time I've touched guitar, today. I took a shower, but I didn't really do my typical warm-ups. But I wanted to kind of do this on camera just so I can kind of relate how it feels. So when I started, my hand was kind of sleepy or whatever, but after running through all 5 positions and kind of demonstrating this and playing through it, I can feel like my hand's starting to wake up. Now after this, I might follow with some scale runs or licks or something, or a different series of exercises just to get my fingers moving, in some different ways. But this is a really good workout, kind of low impact, and you're really getting used to that kind of rolling technique, which that comes up a lot in sweeping, blues licks, kind of moving between, 2 different strings on the same fret and stuff. So you'll find situations in music where you're going to need to do this, and it's also just kind of a beneficial exercise, on its own. So anyway, hopefully you'll get something from this. Please leave some feedback and comments, subscribe to Late Night Lessons, and I'll be back before you know with more content and material. Thank you.